Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spring Garden series where we're growing a vegetable garden all the way from seed to harvest, everything in between in a quick, simple, inexpensive way. Today's video is on how to start seeds indoors in 2 easy ways, and we're going to share some tips for success along the way. I have my friend Joel with me here today. Hi Joel, how are you?
Hi Kim, good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for helping me out on this video today and throughout this whole series.
You're helping me. Thank you. Thank
Wonderful.
you very much.
So excited that you're here with us. Why do you want to grow vegetables this year?
I want to grow vegetables this year because I was growing some last year and I don't think I did as good a job as I could, and I want to continue to get better. So last year I grew things out of season just to see what would happen, and they failed. But it's okay. I'm here. Kim's going to guide me, and everything's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful.
Well, that's good.
I know it is.
We're going to have a lot of fun, and I can't wait to get started.
Oh, thank you.
Now, if you've never started your garden from seed indoors before, you might be wondering, why start from seed indoors? Well, the first and probably the biggest reason is because you can get a jump on the growing season. You can start from seed indoors about 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date and grow your own transplants. So when the weather is right, you're going to have beautiful transplants just like this to pop out in your garden beds. Well, the second reason to start from seed indoors is cost. You're going to save so much money on plants. When you buy transplants at the garden center, they're $4 to $5 a piece. Starting from seeds indoors, you can start for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
And it's always fun to save money, right? Now, the third reason is the variety. There's pretty much the basic varieties available at the garden center. When you start from seed indoors, you can grow all sorts of vegetables, different colors, unusual types of vegetables, and they're going to be so delicious.
Yeah.
And you just have a wider variety of things that you can grow.
Much wider. You're more at the mercy of the people that grow those plants that they put in, like maybe I should say Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever.
Absolutely.
And there are times of the year when you go to those stores and they're out. There's no plants. There's no seeds. There's nothing.
Absolutely.
So, and you have a perfect opportunity to jump on your plant growing and get an early start. So
absolutely, huge advantage. Now, the other reason I love to start from seeds indoors is because it gives you a protected environment to grow your plants. So I know, Joel, that you've started a lot of seeds outdoors here, and some have been successful, some maybe haven't.
Right.
But when you grow indoors, you can control the temperature, you can control the light, you can hopefully keep it away from the dogs. I know that's an issue for you, so we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the video.
Yeah.
And you can also control the unpredictable temperature swings. Even here in California, we get some cold nights, and growing from seed indoors, you're going to be able to control everything pretty much so that you can have a beautiful transplant like this to put outside as soon as the weather is right.
I'm jealous.
Now, the next question you might have is when to start your seeds indoors. Well, here in California, we're blessed with nice warm weather, but a lot of people that live in northern climates are still under snow and cold weather, might be having frost still. So generally speaking, you want to start your seeds indoors about 4 to 8 weeks before your last frost date of the season. Now, how in the world do you know the last frost date of the season? We don't have frost here, at least we haven't had any yet this year. But if you do, look on farmersalmanac.com. And here in the US and in Canada, you can pop in your zip code and it will tell you the average last frost date for where you live. Then you want to back your starting seeds date up about 4 to 8 weeks before that date. First off, let's talk about the supplies you need when you're starting from seed indoors. Now, we're going to keep this inexpensive, so look around your house, see what you can have, and then I'm also going to show you some products that we picked up on Amazon as well. So first off, one great thing to use is little solo cups, styrofoam cups, any type of container that you can find around your house that you can put soil in. Just needs to have drainage in the bottom. I don't have holes in this one yet, but it's easy to poke holes in it with a nail. It's kind of cool to heat the nail up and then poke it through rather than pound it with a hammer, because that usually will crack the cup.
Right.
And I also like to save these little sour cream containers. You can use egg cartons, which is a really good way to start from seed because you can just pop them right in the garden and they'll disintegrate. So here I have some little sugar snap peas that are coming up in an egg carton, which I think are really cute. Look at those cute little shoots. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And then I like to use these little recycled cups that you can get at Home Depot or pick up on Amazon.
Right. I love these things.
Yep, these are great.
So no matter what the container is, it has to drain.
It definitely has to have drainage, very important.
Okay.
Now, one of the easiest ways to start your garden indoors from seed is by using these little peat pellets.
Love
Now,
them.
You've used these
Yes,
before, right,
yes,
Joel?
yes.
Yeah, these are great. So these are little compressed discs of soil. You add water, they expand, and they look something like this once they're expanded. No fuss, no muss.
Right.
No dirt all over the house.
You got to put the seed in them. Before they look like that.
That's right. You got to plant the seeds in them. So we're going to do that in 2 different ways today. And you also need some nice, light, fluffy potting mix. Now, you don't want to use your garden soil because it's just too heavy. This is nice and light and fluffy, and it's sterile, so you're not going to be bringing unwanted pests, diseases into your brand new seed start, so you definitely need to have that. Okay. And of course, we need seeds. Now we're growing with the CaliKim Spring Garden Seed Collection, 12 varieties in here of basic vegetables. We've got a couple really beautiful flavors of tomatoes, varieties of tomatoes. We've got 2 kinds of peppers, some basil, some lettuce, some sugar snap peas. This is going to be a lot of fun. You're going to have a great vegetable garden, Joel.
I'm ready to eat the bag.
The first way I'm going to show you how to start your seeds indoors is with the peat pellets. So 2 different sizes of peat pellets that I like to use. These larger ones, like I said, expand about 3 inches, and I like to use these for the larger vegetables like the cucumbers, the squash, the tomatoes, because you can leave them in here for about 6 weeks before you get them planted out in your garden. For smaller vegetables, the small peat pellets work really well, but we're just going to use the large ones today. So here's where the magic happens. We're going to add water to our peat pellets and watch them expand. This is a really fun project to do with kids. Give them their own little tray, and they're going to have so much fun seeing the pellets expand and plant their seeds in them. You with me there, Joel?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is like working with a kid. So
Absolutely.
We're doing good.
Great.
Is that enough or more?
Maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
Take about 5 minutes for them to expand, and then we can start planting some seeds.
Okay. About a third of the way up the pan.
I'd say so.
Okay, that's about a little more. Sorry.
Now, Joel, I gave you a copy of my book on the last video, and you gave it back to me to sign, so I brought it here for you.
Thank you very much. And may I say, your whole family signed it for me. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's our pleasure. Now, everything we're learning today is written down for you in the book, so make sure if you want to refresh, you can read it afterwards, and just to cement everything in your mind. Now, if you haven't yet started on your spring garden, it's not too late. You can grab the Spring Garden series, you can grab the book. I've actually bundled them together on my website, so you can save a little bit of money. It's under the Seed Collections tab, and you're going to be all set watching the videos, following along in the book. We're going to grow a great vegetable garden together.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, our peat pellets have been sitting for 5 or 10 minutes or so. They're looking good.
Yeah.
Expanded.
Yep.
This is going to be fun. Now, you'll notice some water in the bottom of your tray. Not everything got soaked up, so let's just go ahead and dump that water out. Dump it back in your bucket there.
Everybody stay in.
So first thing we're going to do is just peel the netting apart here on the top of the pellets, just so we have enough room to plant our seeds. And you'll notice that little divot in the top of the pellets,
Right.
which really makes it handy to just pop the seed right in there. Tell this is great. No fuss, no muss, just makes it super easy. One of the easiest ways you can start your seeds indoors is with these little pellets.
Okay. Look at that. She's got all hers done already, and I'm still working on the 4th one.
It's okay. The next thing we're going to do is fluff the soil up, so you're going to need your little pencil there.
Okay.
And it's fun to just use things that you have around the house. That's why you use a little pencil. You don't need a special tool or anything. And I just like to kind of fluff the soil up a little bit in the pellet,
Okay.
just to kind of loosen it a little bit and get it ready for the seed.
All right. Hey, Kim, so I noticed that when you're fluffing it up, generally you don't go down more than an inch, right?
An inch is just fine. Generally want to plant your seeds about 2 times the width of your seed. Now comes the fun part, planting the seeds. You ready for this, Joel?
I'm ready.
It's going to be fun. Now we're going to plant seeds with similar growing conditions here in this tray. So we're going to plant some warm weather vegetables. Now one of the tips for success when you're starting your seeds indoors is temperature. So similar vegetables with similar growing needs in this particular container. So we're going to do some tomatoes, some peppers, and some basil. Okay. Now warm weather vegetables are vegetables that germinate and like temperatures of 60 to 85 degrees. So it's going to be perfect for this tray. Yeah. We'll show you how to get them set up later under grow lights, so that they all will have very successful germination. So first off, let's grab our tomatoes. We've got a beautiful Golden Jubilee tomato. It's a lovely slicing tomato, a large one, and the yellow tomatoes are the sweetest. You're gonna absolutely love this, Joel. So we're gonna pour a few seeds into our hand. We're gonna try and plant 2 to 3 seeds in each pellet. If you get a few extras, that's okay.
Okay.
Try and space them a little bit apart throughout the pellet if you can.
Okay.
And the reason why we're not just dropping 1 seed in each pellet, we want to give ourselves plenty of room for success by planting a couple of seeds in case one doesn't germinate for some reason.
Right.
Now the next step is to gently push your seed down into the pellet. And you don't need to push it down in too far, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so. A lot of people make the mistake of planting their seeds too deep, and then they take a long time to germinate, or they might not germinate at all.
Right, I think I've done that.
And then we're just going to lightly press down on the soil with the pencil. So do that to each pellet. The next step is to label your plants. Now, Joel, I don't know about you, but I am always getting my plants mixed up.
Me too.
So I like to label and then put the date on the back so I know exactly when I started the seeds.
Yeah. These things don't have spell check, so I...
Now what we're going to do is repeat the process for each seed. So we've got a Marglobe tomato. You are going to love this tomato, Joel. This actually has grown in my garden all winter long, so it's a cold tolerant tomato.
Oh, really?
A little bit smaller than the Golden Jubilee red. Absolutely delicious. So just repeat the same process with the second tomato variety.
Voila.
Again, we're just poking those seeds down in there, and down the soil. We got our second tomato planted. And don't forget that label.
How long before these seeds germinate and I start to see plants coming up?
Good question. Well, germinate, just for those of you who don't know, means when the seeds are sprouting out of the soil, you'll see little green shoots come up, like these little peas right here. That's called germinating. Right. With tomatoes, they germinate best at temperatures between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So as long as the spot we're going to be putting them in your house is about that temperature, they're going to germinate in about 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
So that's always going to be exciting.
Sounds good.
It's always the best part.
Yeah.
So the next step is we're going to plant some peppers. Now peppers do take a little bit longer to germinate, especially the hot peppers. So we are going to grow a California wonder pepper and a Hungarian hot wax. Look at this. These were planted about a month ago. Look at that beauty.
Love that.
You're going to grow those too.
Oh, yeah.
So let's grab our seeds. We'll do the same process with our pepper seeds. Now the California Wonder is a beautiful, thick red pepper, absolutely delicious on the grill. It's a sweet one. So those are one of our favorites to grill up in the summertime. And I know you're a big barbecuer too, Joel, so I think you're really gonna like this pepper.
Yeah, I love peppers. I love cooking with that stuff.
They're beautiful, and this is a good one. So again, we'll just drop 3 seeds in each pellet. We've got our sweet peppers planted. We've got to have some hot peppers too, though.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about you, Joel. I love to make salsa out of my fresh peppers.
Right. My wife makes salsa.
Oh, lovely.
She's,
Next, we're planting the Hungarian hot wax pepper. It's kind of a mild heat pepper, but one thing I love about it, it's so colorful. It's a brilliant yellow color, and the colors change as the peppers start to ripen. So I think you're really going to enjoy growing it in your garden.
If they're growing like yours, I should be real happy.
I think one thing that's so satisfying about starting your own garden from seed is that it just feels so good planting a seed, watching it grow, nurturing it, and then going out to your garden and harvesting it later on.
Right. Hey, Kim, this is like therapeutic. You know?
It is very therapeutic.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the hot wax pepper is indicative of its name. Like, never had a hot wax, but ow!
It's delicious, let me tell you, it is.
Are these pods biodegradable? Like you could just transplant them into the dirt?
Well, it says they are on the package, but I always take the netting off when I plant them because I feel like the netting just kind of restricts the roots once you get it planted out in the garden.
Right.
We've got 4 pellets left. We're going to plant us some basil. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Give a whiff. Isn't that beautiful?
I love that. It's almost like a flower.
It's so,
Yeah.
smells so good. It's going to be so tasty in our, you could throw it in salsa, throw it in all kinds of stuff. Basil is absolutely delicious. This is an Italian large leaf basil, 4 pellets left. We're going to plant the seeds in here. And again, we're just going to put 3 to 4 seeds in each. Now basil seeds are really tiny, so it might be a little bit hard on the spacing.
Okay.
But again, no worries about it. We can thin them out as we go.
Okay.
Yeah, these are a little bit harder to see to poke down in the soil. So you can tell the basil seeds are tiny. They're a little bit harder to sprinkle in.
Yeah, they are.
But basil actually grows really well close together, so don't worry about it if you get a few extra seeds in there. One of the tips for success in starting your seeds indoors is giving them the right amount of moisture. And this is where a lot of gardeners really get tripped up. Now to start off with our little seed pellets here, we're just going to give them a light little spray with the spray bottle, just to kind of settle the seeds down into the pellets. So we want it to be moist but not soggy. So just spray it to the top of the pellets, look moist. We've got some beautiful warm weather vegetables started in our first easy method for starting seeds indoors, and that is the peat pellets. Now we're going to start some seeds in the second easy way, and that's the small containers and soil. Now first things first, let's talk about the soil. You don't want to just bring in garden soil because that's going to be too heavy, it's not light enough for seed starting, and you might bring in some bugs into your house. We definitely don't want that. So we've got some nice light fluffy indoor potting mix here. And you can also grab a seed starting mix at your local hardware store. The brand I love to use is called Good Dirt. That's what we're using today. But again, one of the tips for success is moisture. You got to have the right amount of moisture in your soil. So this is looking a little bit dry. We're going to add some water to it. Okay. And if you want to grab that watering can there, Joel, go ahead and pour the water in there, just a little bit at a time. All right, that's good. Let me mix it around here. What I'm doing is mixing the water into the soil. And we're looking for the consistency of a crumbly brownie mix. Not too wet, not too dry. Just keep pouring water and mixing it in until it's the right consistency. We don't want any dry spots in the soil because we want the seeds to have the moisture they need to germinate successfully. Right. Now, if you do get your soil too wet, all you have to do is add a little bit more soil just to take some of the moisture out. But I think this is looking pretty good. Yeah. Actually just adding a little bit more soil in here just so we have enough to fill all of our containers. Nice job mixing it in there, Joel.
Yeah, this feels, it's still fluffy, but it's moist.
Perfect.
You know, it's not dripping wet or anything.
Yeah, we don't want it to be waterlogged or dripping wet, like you said. So if you hold a handful up, kind of squeeze it, there's no water coming out.
Right, and it bounces back. It's like there's air in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like crumbly brownie mix, right?
Well, for those who know how to make brownies, yes.
So now we're just going to pop some soil in our little containers here, and we're going to plant us some more veggies. Going to fill it all the way to the top. You kind of also press it down there in your container as you're filling it because you don't want air pockets. You want the soil or the seeds to make really good contact with the soil. So we're going to plant cucumber and squash in these large cups. And one reason I like to plant them in the large cups because they grow very fast. Take a look at this squash plant here. This is just about a month of growth. So you can see even in the peat pellets, they outgrow it really quickly. So I really like to use the cups with soil with the squash. And the cucumber, it's a pretty fast grower too.
Yeah.
Now these are also warm weather vegetables. They germinate best again at temperatures between 60 and 70 degrees. So they're perfect with the peppers, tomatoes, and basil. Cucumbers and squash are also plants you can plant directly out in your garden beds, but you gotta wait till the weather's warm enough.
Right.
So right now it's still too cold for that here in California.
Oh, okay.
Because the nighttime temperatures are down into the 40s and that's just too cold for cucumbers and squash.
Okay.
So let's grab our cucumber seeds. So we're going to plant 3 seeds in each cup. Now again, don't get too upset if you drop an extra seed or 2 in.
Right.
But we're doing it pretty much in the same way. You just space your seeds apart in through the cup and then just press them down lightly into the soil, maybe a 1/4 inch or so. And then just press the soil lightly down. You want your seeds making good contact with the soil, so that's why we're just lightly pressing it. That way they'll be good to go.
Yeah, I just had a seed pop out on me.
Pop the label in. Next, we're going to plant some crookneck squash. I absolutely love squash. This is a golden crookneck. It's a beautiful yellow color. It is so good on the grill.
Yes, I agree.
Wait till you throw it on the grill with some of those California Wonder Peppers. Oh, just can't be beat.
I want to get into canning too.
Oh, that'd be
And,
great.
yeah, and my mom used to can cucumber, squash, onions. It was tremendous. Tomatoes.
So we are getting this down now. The same method. Press the seeds down into the soil. We have got our tray of warm weather vegetables planted.
Okay.
This feels so good.
Now, do we need to stop and do the planter's prayer or anything?
You can sing or talk to your plants. I like to do that sometimes.
I do that, believe it or not. Come on, let's go. You know?
So now we're going to give them a little spray again with our spray bottle.
All right.
Again, just making the top of the soil kind of evenly moist. And we'll keep an eye on these right along with our peat pellets to make sure the top of the soil doesn't dry out. We've got our warm weather vegetables planted here. Now we're going to plant a separate tray for our cool weather vegetables. Now cool weather vegetables are vegetables that germinate best in temperatures of 45 to 60 degrees. So they have a little bit different growing needs. So we're going to be putting those in a separate place, and that's why we have a whole separate tray for them. So we'll explain more about that in just a moment. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get our little seed cells filled up with soil here.
Okay.
So we're just going to pack each little cell full of soil. And I do like growing in these little seed cells because you can grow individual plants in them. And you can also recycle them and use them again from season to season. Just make sure that you wash them out really well with soap and water if you're reusing them, so you don't carry over any diseases from the previous growing season. So just pack them right in here. What I like to do with these is kind of pack the soil in with my thumbs.
Right.
Again, we don't want any air pockets. We want the seeds to make really good contact with the soil. You can see this is a little bit messier of a method than peat pellets, but it's definitely a really inexpensive way to go.
Right, right. Not fun if you don't get your hands dirty.
Exactly. That's why we're gardeners, right?
That's right.
Little dirt never hurt.
You're a poet and you don't know it.
So we're going to plant sugar snap peas and lettuce here in these little seed cells, and also some kale, the last little vegetables left in the spring garden seed collection. Now, these are vegetables that you can plant outdoors. They'll take a light frost. Here in California, we could actually direct seed them out in the garden, but it's always fun to get a few going on the inside to give us a little head start on the growing season.
Do you think I compacted a little
Oh,
too
that's
much?
perfect. No, that's perfect. So you can see here what we have to look forward to. These are little sugar snap peas just coming up. I just planted those a week ago. And our lettuce here, those have been planted maybe 2 weeks or so. So these are actually ready to plant outdoors. So first we're going to grab our sugar snap peas. These are so delicious. I absolutely love sugar snap peas.
Oh, yeah.
They're super sweet. You can eat them pod and all, just pop them in your mouth. They're so good. I like to dip them in hummus or just eat them fresh out of the garden while I'm walking around as a little garden snack. How about that snacking in the garden?
That's why you do it.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to plant, the sugar snap peas grow very, very quickly, so I'm actually just going to plant one seed in each cell. Just press them right down into the soil. And if you live in an area where it's still cold and the ground is frozen, as soon as your ground starts to thaw, you can put sugar snap peas directly in your containers or your garden beds. And then they'll take a light frost and they'll start to grow as soon as things start to warm up a little bit. Next, how about some lettuce?
Let's do it.
Ready for some salads?
Yep.
We've got two different kinds here. We've got the black seeded Simpson, which is a beautiful, more heat tolerant type of lettuce. Lettuce, again, is a cool weather vegetable. It likes temperatures of 75 degrees or under. Once it gets hot out, 80 degrees, we get tons of hot days, hotter than that in California here. Lettuce doesn't do so well. So we want to get it planted as early in the spring as possible.
Right.
And lettuce is one of the easiest vegetables you can plant. Just sprinkle a little bit in each cell. You don't have to get too exact with the spacing. Maybe 6 seeds or so. But I know I'm getting more than that. I don't know about you, but it's really hard to plant lettuce, the exact amount of lettuce seeds. And lettuce needs light to germinate, so you don't even have to cover the seeds. Or if you do cover them, just barely sprinkle a little bit of soil. Sometimes it's good to cover them just a little bit to protect them from the birds, picking the seeds out.
Right.
But since we're growing these indoors, we don't need to worry about that. So I'm just lightly pressing the seeds down. You can see how I'm doing that here. Next up on the garden grocery store, red romaine lettuce. I love having different colors of lettuce in my salads. I don't know about you, but there's just something about the beautiful colors of green and red in your salads. It's just so good. So we'll get some of this lovely red romaine planted the same way. You can tell the red romaine seeds are white instead of black, like the black-seeded Simpson.
Okay.
Sprinkle them in. The last vegetable we're going to plant today is the red Russian kale. Kale is actually cold tolerant and heat tolerant, so it's a great vegetable to grow year round. So we've got 2 little seed cells left, and they kind of look very similar to basil seeds, a little bit different of a shape. So again, just like lettuce, you don't have to be too worried about the spacing. 3 to 4 seeds in each seed cell, but the kale we do need to cover. It's not one of those like lettuce that needs light to germinate. Drop the seeds in. Now with the kale seeds here, you can either push them down into the soil with your pencil, or you can just grab some extra potting mix and just sprinkle it lightly over the top.
So Kim, we got all the seeds planted. What's the next step?
They need some light. Okay, now I know you've grown them outdoors a lot of times, but we want to grow them inside to control the temperature, to control the light, make sure the dogs don't get them. So I brought something over for you. This is going to really help keep the dogs out of your plants.
Sweet.
This is a little grow light box. Now we showed this on last week's video. It's a really easy way to get grow light set up inside your house.
Okay.
So I made one for you, and I also brought you over this power strip timer.
Oh, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Thank you.
I love this because you are not going to have to think about what time you want to turn your lights on and off. You're going to set your timer, and it's all going to be done for you. So let me show you this little grow light box. It's pretty cool. All right. We're going to grow the warm weather vegetables in here, so it keeps them nice and toasty. So I've also brought you over this heat mat. And when you're growing the warm weather vegetables, particularly the peppers, really need that bottom heat to germinate well. So this raises the heat to maybe 10 or 15 degrees, helps your peppers germinate fast, and it'll also really help your tomatoes and your cucumbers and squash grow really fast too.
Okay.
So we're going to set this in here. And if you notice in here, I've got a little box. You want to raise your seedling tray up a little bit, so it's only about 2 inches away from the light.
Okay.
You don't want it way down in the bottom, and then your seedlings have to stretch for the light, because then they get leggy, and they're not going to grow very well.
Oh, the box is a prop. I was hoping it was another present.
So grab your warm weather seed tray, those tomatoes, peppers, and basil, the squash and the cucumbers, just pop them right down in there.
All right.
I think what I'm going to do here, Joel, is we'll turn them this way, just so they have the heat mat underneath them evenly.
Covers it,
kind of right in the middle.
Right.
And then I'll have you go ahead and put that lid on. And if you notice here, I've got 2 lights, because I knew we were going to pack this tray full, and that way the lights get, or the plants get all the light that they need.
Now, are these special bulbs that you're using?
These are special bulbs. These are LED bulbs, and we showed that in last week's video, how to get this all set up, so people will have all the, particular light bulbs that they need. But I do like to set the bin or the lid ajar just a little bit to give it the airflow. And then if you want to go ahead and do the honors to pop the lights on, these clamp lights are great. It's a really easy way to get grow lights set up. Just got both lights on there. And then what you're going to do is set your timer to go 18 hours a day on, and then 6 hours a day off. And that'll get the seedlings the light they need to be nice and strong and stocky and healthy plants. Well, it's all yours. Hopefully you can find a safe spot in your house where the dogs won't bother it. And that's an issue for you, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But we'll handle it.
Well, it is for a lot of people though. So that's one reason why this box works really well.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and have you set that down, and we'll talk about the cool weather vegetables and what we're going to do with those. So we have our little clamp light that we're going to use for our cool weather vegetables. We don't want to put them in the box because they would get too hot in there.
Right.
So we've got our little DIY clamp station, clamp light, gallon jug filled with sand, PVC pipe. So grab the tray there. And we've got our box here so that the seedlings are raised up to meet the light. You only want them about 2 inches away. And then check this out. You can move it up and down the PVC pipe and adjust the height as your plants grow. 2 inches is good.
Right there?
Perfect. And you can go ahead and turn the light on. We've got our seeds started in 2 easy ways, in the peat pellets and the cups with soil, and we've gone over the tips for success for starting your seeds indoors. The moisture of the soil, the temperature by growing cool weather vegetables versus warm weather vegetables, and using the heat mat for the warm weather vegetables, and we've also talked about the light. So Joel, we got our seeds started. It's been a ton of fun. What are your thoughts?
Well, the prep work is the most important, I think, for sure. If you don't do it right, or it's just not going to come out right. So that could be one reason why I've killed so many plants in my day. One of the things that I have been failing to do is prepare myself to transplant these plants.
Oh, okay.
So what should we be doing next?
Okay, good, very good question. Now, this week your assignment is to check on your plants every single day. You want to make sure that the soil is not drying out. So here's where this little spray bottle comes in, very important.
Right.
You don't want the soil to dry out because then your plants won't germinate, no moisture, no germination. They're going to stay under the grow lights all week long. You'll be setting your timer for 18 hours a day on, 6 hours a day off.
Right.
And they're going to stay and grow indoors for about 4 to 6 weeks. As the weather warms up, we're going to walk through the transplanting process. We're going to get your raised bed built out here,
Okay.
show you how to transition your seedlings from the indoors to the outdoors,
Okay.
and then get them planted out in the garden in about 6 weeks.
That'll be great.
And next week's video, stay tuned guys, this is where a lot of gardeners get tripped up, watering and fertilizing your indoor seedlings. A very important video, make sure you tune in for that. Well, I want to invite you to join us on the Spring Garden series. Grab my Spring Garden seed collection and a copy of my book on my website. They're all bundled together just for you. And Joel, this one's just for you. Make sure you read it this week.
Definitely.
Tell me what you learned when we come back next week.
All right.
Comment below, let us know if you'll be starting your seeds indoors this week, and let us know what you've learned from this video. Joel, thanks so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.
Bye-bye.